You have completed one mission in this lifetime. The divine thanks you for your service, and there is a new purpose that you are aligning with right now. Fire spirit energy. You are being activated and inspired to move in a new direction. And for a lot of you, this is going to feel like the continuation of a path that you have already been walking, because this next phase of your mission, but what is coming through or being described as like a new mission for you, it requires partial awareness on your part of what it is that you're striving towards, what it is that you are reaching towards in terms of goals, what it is that you are bringing forth from inside of you in terms of certain strengths and gifts that you've cultivated or that you are choosing to cultivate and apply outward for the benefit of yourself and others. But then the other part of fulfilling this purpose or mission requires you to just walk in faith. And I'm hearing all will be revealed. So it feels like something that to get the most optimal results, to be the most efficient, the most effective, or to have kind of the widest effect in terms of like how this can be brought forth for the benefit of yourself and others, it requires you to not get caught up in almost what would be like fine-tuning or trying to over perfect the little details, getting everything just right. For some of you, this is like a really big purpose or a big mission that your spirit guides, your higher self, the divine, doesn't want you to get stage fright, doesn't want to trigger that inner critic inside of you to get you to start doubting yourself, to second guessing yourself. So it's almost like you need to have sort of like blinders on to how this is all going to play out, what this is all going to unfold into. This speaks about opportunities that present themselves that you're not going to see these things coming. It's kind of like on the spot, you're going to have to say yes or no. And it's going to mean pivoting, in a new direction or walking through certain like open doorways where it's kind of like it's now or never sort of energy. And you're going to have to be very quick. You're not going to have time to sort of sit and deliberate. You're not going to have time to sit and think about things. It's like yes or no, now or never. And so some of that for part of the journey to like fulfill this other purpose that you've now been aligned with is you're not going to know what that's meant to be or how that's all going to play out until you're living in the midst of that reality. And then you're able to kind of like through hindsight be able to see, okay, I can connect the dots and I can see how I thought I was working toward one thing, but then it became something else altogether. This is also the energy of kind of like cleansing, clearing the way. So this may even have to do with a purpose that is self-created. There's no way for you to really kind of like know what this is going to be because it's ahead of time, because it's very like in the moment. You come up with this sort of like brilliant idea. You create a niche. You don't just like insert yourself in an existing niche, but you create something very innovative, something that at the right time in the right place, you're going to have that light bulb moment. You're going to have that, lightning strikes experience, and it's going to be something that is like, wait, this can be useful for other people. Wait, this is something that can bring me prosperity. This is something that can bring me abundance. This is something that hasn't been done before or doesn't exist. I'm in the right time. I'm in the right circumstance. I can do this, and you bring it forth. And that's the way that this is going to be the most effective, this like secondary purpose or mission, that you're going to look back at this journey that you've been on, and it's like, I thought I was headed in one direction, but then I actually have been kind of like guided or nudged very subtly into this totally different timeline, doing something that I didn't imagine that I would do. And if you had had that kind of like forewarning or that prior knowledge, or it was very like I'm setting a goal and I'm taking steps towards that, you wouldn't be able to make as big of an impact as you are going to be in the authenticity of the moment. So we also have Starry Night, acceptance. Yeah, this is your mission. If you choose to accept it, you're going to be able to just have little glimpses, little previews, little inklings of sort of what it is that you're working towards, that idea of a starry energy. This can be, up on the stage, in front of the public, an influencer, a star, a celebrity, something within a niche that doesn't even like exist at this particular point in time. This is speaking about the energy of longevity as well. This is not a purpose or mission that you're going to fulfill quickly, but it's something that you have been preparing for this whole time. And it's something that almost like dovetails off of a previous purpose or mission that you have now already fulfilled. And you may think that you're kind of like you're still working towards that, you're still kind of like reaching for those goals and dreams, but you've already fulfilled what you were meant to do as far as that is concerned. And yet behind the scenes, there's like a version of yourself that is kind of coming to the surface, that is going to come into this place of alignment. For some of you, you're going to be discovered. You're just going to be kind of like going through the motions of your reality. You're going to be reaching for one thing, and somebody of influence, somebody who has the ability to open doors of opportunity, somebody that like sees you and is either captivated by your charisma, likes your message, likes what you're putting out, likes your face, likes your appearance, or is somebody even, that you just happen to kind of like interface with on a person-to-person level, and unbeknownst to you, this is somebody who's influential, this is somebody who's powerful, this is somebody who's starting something that will lead to influence and power for themselves and for others that are involved in it. So you may be getting involved on the ground floor, and then it takes off, then it germinates, then it blossoms, then you find yourself in this energy of alignment of like, I couldn't have planned this better. I couldn't have dreamed this up for myself. If I had known that this is the reality of what my life would turn into, how I would kind of like fulfill sort of a purpose for this human experience, everything that you've been through that has kind of like shaped who you are, or has informed certain decisions, or has made certain things very necessary in terms of steps forward, all of that, it feels like really does serve like a higher point of utility that is still in the process of being created. It's like you're supposed to walk into that blindly. You're supposed to be blindsided in the best way by this. And that's your real purpose in this lifetime. That's your real mission. Or, kind of like you've passed certain tests, you've completed other sort of like purposes and missions, and you're still going through the motions of like, okay, I'm reaching for that timeline, I'm striving for that, I'm trying to, become the essence of what it is that I'm trying to embody, or what it is that I'm trying to experience. But unbeknownst to you, it's like there's something else being prepared behind the scenes, or you are being kind of rerouted or redirected to something that's a better fit for who you are becoming, rather than who you are in this moment in time. So like right now, if you were able to sort of fast track to this point further up on your timeline that you are now being urged towards, you're being ushered towards, you're being encouraged to answer that call, it's like this version of you wouldn't have the capacity to kind of like deliver as much light as you are meant to deliver out, wouldn't have the capacity to receive and hold on to the level of abundance and energy that you're getting ready to pull in or to receive. So it's a process of kind of like calibrating you in the present moment to this sort of like future point in time where there's this merge happening. It's like you and this future point in time are both co-affecting one another at this particular point. So like your purpose is pulling you in, and you're pulling yourself into kind of this other purpose. This season of your life is going to be a lot about trust. There are going to be very, it feels like very kind of like spur of the moment things, changes in plans, not things that are kind of like blessings in disguise, or like rejection is divine protection, but this is going to be something that's going to require you to kind of like drop certain things at a moment's notice in order to seize opportunities, things that just simply fall in your lap. And it's like, it's here, it's presented, you're desired for something. People reach out, they seek you out, and it's something that is going to, again, require this like tremendous amount of faith of sort of like, this has come into my life for a reason, and it's different from what I thought I was working towards, but it is here, it's loudly knocking on my door, or it's so obviously, something that is trying to like pull me in a different direction, not as a test, but as an opportunity to kind of step outside of the comfort zone. There'll be little kind of, nudges inside of you, something that may feel almost like you may get kind of like truth chills, or it may feel, like little tingles, or maybe a lot of just like very quick synchronicities, angel numbers, confirmations, things that in this sort of small window of time are just screaming at you to say yes to certain things. That if you sat and picked it apart with your logic, you'd be like, well, that doesn't make sense. That feels kind of impulsive. I don't know. I don't know if I'm prepared for it. I don't know if I planned for it. Like all of those things would just kind of, it would take the wind out of your sails. And so this experience of kind of stepping into this other purpose, your real purpose, your next purpose, kind of like the next layer or manifestation of what's possible for you in this lifetime, it's going to require kind of just walking in faith, answering the call, and it feels like multiple calls will come in. So this isn't just kind of like pivoting in a new direction. This isn't just shifting your narrative arc in one new direction. It's kind of like one step leads to something else, and then there's another opportunity, and then something else happens. So this next kind of like phase for you, this next part of your purpose, this next part of your mission, it's going to require a lot of flexibility. It's kind of like walking like a zigzagging path up a very unique mountain that's not going to require so much heavy lifting. It's not going to require, so much kind of like pushing against gravity or fighting the feeling of, again, like an imposter syndrome. There's something as far as like your higher self and spirit really wanting to make sure that that component of you is sort of out of the equation as much as possible, is kind of muted out, doesn't have a say in this movement that needs to happen for you. And that's why a lot of this is kind of coming in for you in a way that might almost be kind of like sneaky, but it's very well timed, it's very well planned, it's very well aligned, so that there's just something inside of you which feels like, I need to jump on this. And every time you feel that urge to jump on something very unique, you feel pulled in a new direction. That's that kind of tugging from, the next step towards this like higher or different timeline, this alignment with this other purpose for you. That's beckoning you, that's calling you, that's pulling you for a reason. So you don't have time to kind of talk yourself out of certain things that will be for your benefit and for the benefit of others. Yeah, we have dragon power. So this is something where you are getting ready to step into a power position, to be a power player, to be, like a force of nature in terms of influence, in terms of making a positive change in the world around you, being that change in the world that you have wanted to experience. This brings forth a lot of respect, a lot of authority, a lot of prosperity, a lot of abundance, a lot of wealth, a lot of money. And so in order to kind of get into this position where you're open and you're ready to receive, and you're also pouring forth, you're also contributing, the universe is matching your contribution. It's requiring this like quick dexterity, spreading your wings and flying multiple times. So you're not kind of like leapfrogging up this like ladder of success, or up these different kind of like access points in terms of a timeline. It's almost like you're quantum jumping again and again and again, in a way that if you could see the whole process, or you had time to sort of think about it, it would almost leave you breathless. It would fill you with a lot of fear. You're getting ready to rise up so high that if you were to look down, you get a fear of heights and you'd falter. That's why this is kind of like, some of it is cloaked, some of it is masked, some of it is obscured. You're not going to know until like the decision's on you. So it's kind of like you wake up, you start your day, and the first thing that happens is it's a call, and on your phone, for example, hey, here's this opportunity, I need to know by the end of the day, I need to know by lunchtime, I need this kind of like quick action, or here's something that's available, yes or no, take it or leave it. It's going to be a lot of those experiences in different kind of ways in your life that may seem unrelated even to your purpose, or the idea of a purpose in general, that are going to kind of twist or reposition you into just the right frequency, just the right place of alignment in all aspects of your life, to where there's some kind of like door of prosperity that has your name written on it. You're the only one that can open this door. It only opens for you. And so now is the time for you to be kind of ushered forth towards that. It's not something that you're calling in. It's not something that you're manifesting in a specific way, but it aligns with that frequency of prosperity, of abundance, of peace, of well-being for yourself and others. This is kind of how that is fulfilled or carried out through you, through the instrument of the divine in the form of you during this next season of your life. And it feels like something that leads to like long-term legacy building, generational wealth, the kind of things that are not just sort of like, okay, okay, here's a temporary season of abundance, but something that keeps kind of, paying forth in dividends, something that you can rely upon, something that you can count on, something that brings you that sense of like, okay, I feel fulfilled. I feel like I have aligned with something where I'm not seeking an escape from the nature of my own created reality. Yeah, eagle spirit, freedom. So again, this is like spreading those wings and flying up above the cloud line, up above kind of like what you can necessarily really see in terms of the path forward, where it is that you're going. You're kind of just called by this higher purpose. This is kind of a prelude to maybe your real experience of like the phoenix rising from the ashes. If you have had to kind of like recreate your life in some kind of way, you've had to reimagine things, you've had to like start over, or you've been working towards certain goals that have required you to let go of limitations, let go of certain beliefs or habits or people or circumstances or behaviors that were holding you back, and you felt like, okay, I've created that glow up, I've created that change inside of myself, I'm moving in one particular direction. Like you feel like you've already had that reinvention for yourself. This is something where it's like, the grand reveal is yet to be known. There's something more, there's something different. Like this version of you that is perhaps and most likely already very unrecognizable compared to who you were maybe when you first heard the call in the form of a spiritual awakening, or you first started on your ascension journey, or it first became necessary for you to, take ownership over your choices in life, take accountability for yourself, look around and say, if I'm not happy with my circumstances, what can I do to change those things? Who you were kind of like a period of time ago, a short time ago, or, even a while ago as compared to who you've grown into, who you've worked to become at this point now. It's like you're getting ready to become someone else entirely, where even this version of you, that you may feel very secure within this version of you. You may feel like, hey, I've really made a positive difference in my life and the lives of others. It's like you haven't seen anything yet. It's about to get so much better. It's about to get so much bigger. Like this is your big glow up. This is kind of like what all of those different seasons of preparation were for. You've gone through certain metamorphosis in order to acclimate to that experience of what it means to shed versions of yourself and also reclaim versions of yourself. So for some of you, there's even aspects that you've kind of like parts of your personality that you've needed to like put a muzzle on, or you kind of tucked it in your shadow. You've had to shed certain things because it didn't fit or serve kind of the life that you've wanted to create in the here and now, or what you've been like working towards. Some of those things, it's like you almost just needed to kind of put them on the back burner, but they're going to be repurposed. They're going to be reclaimed by you. Now those things are going to make sense. Now those things that you needed to kind of push to the side so you could focus on something else, now there's a utility for those things, because those things that you might have deemed as like weaknesses or shortcomings, or you needed to kind of make them more recessive parts of your personality so other things could come into more of a place of prominence for you. There's going to be a way to incorporate those things, to no longer see them as kind of like weaknesses or deficits, but they become like the foundation of certain strong suits within. Or there's a way for you to kind of like repurpose those, or maybe even use those as like a point of inspiration, something as far as like your personal journey of alchemy, the alchemy of self, in order to help and inspire others, or it informs something that is part of this kind of like niche that you're creating, this unique kind of space that you're filling, this purpose that is kind of like ultimately known to the divine. It feels like not even your higher self has full awareness of what this is. This is really like that. It's not even like a trust fall with the divine. It's like trusting the divine to lift you up. Trusting the divine to guide you blindly at times, and just purely through instinct, purely through these nudges, purely through these kind of like incidental things that come in, that just something inside of you says, I don't know where this is leading me, but I feel this overwhelming urge to say yes, to accept. This is not in the form of things you're meant to kind of push away or reject, but it's the form of acceptance to things that you won't see coming, and you won't understand how it all sort of fits together. Maybe it's somebody that you meet on a unique experience. Maybe it's something that puts you in that position of right time, right place, where another door of opportunity opens. Or it's something that adds into your life experience that helps you to kind of utilize certain strengths or certain things that you've kind of like worked on or you've experienced or that you have within, or that you're passionate about, to kind of like use those in such a way that it truly benefits kind of like people around you, communities around you, the future in general. It helps to kind of make sense out of your human experience. So you're not just here spending time. You're not just here kind of like going through the motions of what most people, like NPCs, and they're kind of just like, I'm going to work until I retire. I'm, going to get all the creature comforts. I'm going to have the kids and the house with the picket fence and the dog and, the vacations and the toys and, all of those kind of things. And that's going to make for a well-lived life. This is something that goes beyond all of that. This is something that when you look back on your life, it may have been filled with struggle, it may have been filled with periods of triumph, but it was yours. It's something where you're able to kind of own that story very uniquely and say, I didn't just kind of like spend my time on this earth, but I really lived. I lived in a way that might have been confusing at times, but it ultimately, I came to a place where it made sense to me, or I made it make sense to me in a way that could kind of like help others. So you're getting ready to kind of step beyond the ordinary. Again, that energy of like star-studded, something where there'll be a lot of eyes on you, or it's something that you're getting ready to kind of be aligned with, that is that true purpose, that is that true fulfillment of mission for you in this lifetime, that is not just kind of like, okay, you've raised yourself up out of whatever your circumstances are. You hit the next level of life or of reality, but it's something that really can help kind of inspire others, be a guide for others, makes a positive impact for others, something that others, like, you're getting ready to get into a position where others will look up to you. Others will look to you as a person of authority. You're trusted with that level of power because you've already proven in different sorts of ways that you know how to use that for the well-being of yourself and others. So you're being gifted with an even greater access to different sort of layers of that in a way that it feels like you'll understand kind of the full meaning and reason for that and how to best use that when you wake up and find yourself in the midst of living that life as your reality. So this is a very exciting time, it feels like, for you if you're resonating with these energies, where there's going to be a lot of opportunities there that come in. There's going to be a lot of things where it's like you're going to have to make an immediate decision. But if everything inside of you is saying yes, go for that, this can be that confirmation or that indication, like, yes, go for it. More than just the immediate gratification, it aligns you with something that is like the fulfillment of your true purpose in this lifetime, or something that is like a new purpose that you've been gifted, you've been bestowed, you've been entrusted with by the divine, because you've done such an excellent job at fulfilling like your original purpose and your original mission in this lifetime already. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Please like the video or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out, and don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.